Hello, this is Danielle Day with Pretty Simple Day. Oh, shoot, Danielle Day.
She's not married, obviously.
My maiden name is Day. My name is Danielle Conley, and I am a certified life coach. I have a background in education. I have a bachelor's in early childhood, a master's in education, early childhood education. I have another master's in educational leadership.
And I was one of her first clients.
Yes.
When she got I believe you got your certification
Yes.
in being a life coach.
Yes.
And I actually paid through PayPal. I set it up. She put me on a schedule, and we did a few of the sessions.
Yes, we did a few of the
Yeah,
sessions. And honestly, I'm the type, like, if you want change and you're ready for it, then I hold you accountable for saying, okay, I want these sessions. I'm ready. Let's go. Let's do this. But today's session or conversation is going to be focused on what is love. And so I have my husband here.
And listen, she has notes. I know nothing about what she's going to talk about. I told her, don't even tell me, because I want this to be completely organic. So those of you who are looking, it's all organic. This is not scripted at all.
At all. Yeah. All right. So some things may come up. It's raw. It's uncut, as people say. Yep. And so you are going to get the real deal. Now, the focus is not necessarily on our relationship as it is just in general, what is love? Yeah. And so I guess that's how we can just start it off by just talking about what love is to us as individuals. So let's get started.
Hey, let's jump in.
All right. So for me, love has evolved. The meaning of love has evolved for me over time, or my understanding of, or the depth of love has evolved over time, because, you have that scripture where it talks about love is kind and gentle and patient and all these things. And you think you're being all these things in life, or my hope, or what I try to do, was show love. And over time, I've learned that there's a spiritual side of love and there's a natural side of love. And I've learned through my experiences that love has boundaries. Like, love is an action, but in that action, it can change what it looks like over time. So,
okay. What's your, when was the first time you felt love? Like, you're like, oh, this is love. Or this is what love feels like.
Oh, gosh. I would say, I don't know, the first thing when you said that comes to mind is my mom, like, just comforting me.
Okay.
So just feeling safe and like, okay.
So definitely a sense of comfort.
Yes.
Safety.
Safety, yes. So
okay.
That would be like my first, like, me taking myself back. That would be my first, like, feeling or experience of feeling love. What about for you?
Honestly, I can't really think of the first time I knew what love was, but I do remember as a kid, I was riding a little big wheel and I was like, look, mommy, and I wanted to show off what I could do. I must have been 3 or 4 at the time. I don't know if y'all know what big wheels are, but they're like these tricycles, but it sits on the ground. It's like plastic.
Yeah.
I'm telling my age here. But anyway, I was like, look, mommy. She was inside and I was outside, and we had these long windows, and I did this big old wheelie. And then I hit the back of my head on the cement. Okay. And I remember her coming to get me, and she just grabbed me in her arms and took me upstairs and took care of me. And I went to sleep, and I remember just waking up and I was okay. I still have a bald spot in the back of my head, even though I'm bald. But I literally have a bald spot
right. From that experience.
Yep. And so that's the first.
And her taking care of you and nurturing you and comforting you in that way through that injury.
Has love evolved for you, or is it pretty much a constant? So pretty much the same thing, stability and comfort. Do those things still represent love to you?
Yeah, they do represent love to me, but I think it's evolved over time too. I was one, I felt like that I was always trying to, like, give love to people, and then I didn't want to, like, receive help from people. And so I'm learning that even though love is an action, love is give and take, and it's but I'm also learning boundaries of, like, you're not expecting anything in return, but it's okay for me to want love and to receive love from other people. And so that was something I had to learn, and that's something that my husband has helped me with a lot, to be able to receive love from somebody, and he had to fight a lot through that to to get to my heart, but he got to my heart. So yeah, and I'm grateful for it.
Nice. So what else? What else you have here on the topic of love?
Okay, so for me, that kind of sums up love for me.
And I would like to say, if this option is available for you guys, comment your first experience, the first time you knew what love was, or the first experience of what you think love is. So yeah, comment that below.
Yes. All right. So I guess going next, it would be what society says love looks like, because you have your experience of love, but then society paints a picture of what love looks like, and to me, it's evolved over time. It's definitely more murky than ever before, at least from my perspective. And so, growing up, seeing like romantic videos and movies, you romanticize over like living happily ever after. And so
basically the experience that you've been having, I swept you off your feet, and it's
honestly, I promise you,
that was a bad joke.
that is true. But at the same time, there's been like ups and downs, ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like because of being abandoned or rejected or feeling rejected from my father leaving at an early age, that affected me in a way to where I did like push love out the window, or I had certain insecurities about love. But you've helped me kind of get back into the swing of things as far as like being committed with love. What was the word?
And receiving it.
And receiving love.
Yeah, because you mentioned you like to give, and it was tough for you to receive.
Yes, it was definitely tough for me to receive love.
Yeah.
And so going back to what love looks like. So yes, you threw me off when you talked when you threw that thing about us, because I got happy. But we have had our share of different things, and a lot of times society doesn't show. They just show the glam of love, but they don't show like how it can be rocky. And that's not just in marital relationships, that's in all relationships. And one thing that our relationship, or what you created for me, that's what I was going to say. Because of my fear like of rejection and abandonment, every time we got into like a disagreement or a fight, I felt like he didn't love me anymore. He was going to leave me, like something like this was it. Like, and so I had to learn. And I've learned that just because we have disagreements or spats, this is kind of turning into like a little story, but it's really not meant for that. But it's to shed a bigger picture on what love is, not only in your marital relationships, but in our relationships. That doesn't mean that person is going to leave you. And he has been like a constant for me to see what like unconditional love looks like, even when like we have like our spits and spats. Like even last night we had a spat, like this is real life. And we had this plan to do this recording, and he still showed up. So like that's just, to me, that's an example of love. So yeah.
All right. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Jumping right back.
That was just a little tissue break.
Yeah, it was a tissue break. Yeah. Sorry about that. I didn't go to the restroom. It literally was a tissue break. But.
So about society.
Yes, society and how it can be skewed, how love can be skewed. And that's what, you see people married one day, they divorce the other, like the next day. And it's just, love has kind of, I don't know, it's been tainted, or it's not as solid, as you don't endure the test of time because everybody gives up so easily. And so I'm blessed to be with somebody where we can have that constant. And even in, like I was saying, I was referring to other relationships. In other relationships, it's kind of hard to see that, but when you find people that want to hear you and see you and really try to understand you, those are the people, to me, in my experiences, that have shown that authentic love. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Beautifully said.
And then another question. I'm going to ask my husband a question. So, even though I'll respond to it, but I want to ask you, how does your soul want to be loved? Or how, because a lot of times we look at the external factors that we need, or we have expectations, but really, we're all hungry for something or desiring something inner, within ourselves. And so I think a good question that sometimes we just overlook, instead of just saying what I want in somebody or what I want in a friendship, is what is your soul looking for? how does your soul want to be loved instead of just like looking in the natural and the spiritual, So that's the question I have for you.
Okay. Well, for me, and this is just me, I love people the way I want to be loved. Mm-hmm. So my soul loves people the way my soul wants to be loved. Mm-hmm. So my definition of love, or my rule of thumb, because what's the saying? Treat others as you want to be treated. Mm-hmm. So I love people the way I want to be loved. Mm-hmm. So the way my soul wants to be loved is always wishing, thinking, and hoping the best for others, and always having their best interest mm-hmm. at heart. Mm-hmm. So I love people by always thinking the best mm-hmm. and wishing the best for them. And so my soul likes to be loved mm-hmm. the same way. So when people are giving me their absolute best and they are making me the priority and making sure that my best interest is at heart, mm-hmm. then I know that, I can't say I know that they love me, but that's how I receive love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I like that, and he's shown himself to be true, and in a lot of ways he's helped me be able to know what I need to be looking for to receive love. Sad but true, but when you grow up with one parent, the effects of it, and it can tarnish you in some ways. And so that's an area where I've grown, because I was just so big into just pouring love into others, as far as like wanting to see the best in people and wanting the best for people or cheering them up, that I didn't realize what I needed. And so for me, the scripture says, love thy neighbor as thyself. But if you don't know how to love yourself, how can you love anybody else? And so that's something that I've had to like toy with over time. And again, with Pretty Simple Day, is not to show like perfection. What it really is to show, the purpose of Pretty Simple Day is to show imperfections. And so when you hear me talk, or when you see my videos, and I'll be by myself sometimes, but it's really just to say, this is who I am, flaws and all. And it took me time to get to a place where I was able, or am able, to say like, I'm not perfect, I have flaws. I'm still learning, I'm still growing as an individual, as a woman. And so you're not alone with all the experiences and things that you've had to go through in life.
Yeah, I'm reminded of a pastor, and he says progress over perfection. Mm-hmm. And so Pretty Simple Day is a progress, it's a journey of sorts.
Yes.
Of not being perfect,
right,
but progressing each day.
Yes.
So it could have been progressing each day, but yes. Pretty Simple Day. I like that.
Yeah, it really could have been, because honestly, as I've learned, and I've been on this journey of learning to love myself for a long time, but I can particularly remember trying to do a recording, I probably say like 12, 13 years ago, and no, I just wasn't there yet. So I'm just proud of the progress I've made in learning how to love myself, learning how to accept myself, and learning that I am worthy. And so I'm just grateful for that. And so if you're struggling with any of those things, I do have a website, Pretty Simple Day. I do life coaching, so definitely check out my website. And but that's just a side note.
Yeah, because you do one-on-one consultations.
I do one-on-one consultations, and I do speaking engagements.
And I would like to say too, I'm a product. This was a few years ago. I was one of your first clients.
Yes,
I actually paid her. I sent the money via PayPal.
Yeah.
And we scheduled in fact, I think I have one session left.
Yeah.
So some of y'all, you'll have some sessions. Make sure you get your sessions.
Make sure you get your sessions. That's on you, because you have to take accountability for your growth and your progress.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. So, yeah.
So is there another segment of love that you wanted to go into, aside from society, aside from how my soul wants to be loved? You never gave us how your soul wants to be loved.
So the way my soul wants to be loved, or is learning to be loved, is to say, not put expectations on other people, and realize that when I am pure in my intention and it's not received, or it's not reciprocated, that has nothing to do with me, and I can't put that on myself, because I would weigh myself down, and I would take what was received, or whatever they received, however they received what I did, I would put that on myself, and it really hurt me a lot. And I had to learn that if my intentions were pure, and I really didn't mean anything by it, but that's how it was perceived. I had to. I'm learning that to let that go, so my soul doesn't get weighed down, and I can still like be a light to other people. And I'm learning like not to hide from people.
Yeah. I saw something the other day on, I want to say Instagram, and it was interesting. The gentleman said, when you show someone your best effort, whether it be love, gifts, performance, job related, or work related, when you give your best and they don't receive it or they reject it, don't continue trying to prove it, because then you'll turn it the switch of approval. You gave your best. Right. Now you're in the efforts of just trying to be approved versus giving your best now. So when you mention that, that's what that made me think about. You loving and giving, and then making sure that they can receive that. And when they don't receive it, then it's easy to activate approval. Trying to step into the lane of approval.
I can see, I feel like since we moved to Oklahoma from Georgia like 7 years ago, I can see how that crippled me in the past, seeking approval from others. Even I would say before 7 years ago, but it really was magnified when I moved to Oklahoma, how much I sought approval and saying, if I do this, it's because I want to do this and not for the approval of someone else. And then I had to go into the spirituality realm of like, okay, before, and I still do this, but I've also learned again that there's a natural side and there's a spiritual side. I go before God and say, Lord, is this something you want me to do? And sometimes God tarries and he doesn't give you an answer right away. So you don't know if you should or shouldn't do it. Then you have to go into the natural side of like, okay, I tend to forget, like if people have hurt me or done me wrong, I have my husband can attest to this, that I forget. I just forget it. Then I just forgive people. And then I'm like, but remember when they did da 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 da? I'm like, oh yeah. And so I've had to learn to like.
There's a scripture that says, have no record of wrong.
Right.
And so God has blessed her with the ability to just, and then just start over.
Right. But in some ways, like with them saying that, thank you for referencing it, it's crippled me in some ways, because sometimes you can't make the progress you need if you keep going back into certain things or being hopeful or optimistic. And it's not a bad thing, but sometimes I'm learning like you do have to know when to cut things off. But you also have to know, like, did you give your all in doing that? And then also, not just did you give your all, but the person that you're countering with, are they making progress? Are they growing? Are they trying to change so that you guys can move forward together? And then also there is in that same scripture, it says love is patient, love is kind, and it also says it's not self-seeking, and so it's not easily angered. And so making that a practice has been something that I've definitely tried to do my whole entire life. I'm not going to say I'm perfect at it, but I've tried to make it a practice, like to remove myself from the situation. But I feel like there's a fine balance in that, and just learning what that looks like. And it's, I've been fortunate enough to where we've kind of been our yin and yang for each other to help each other in that path, because we all have blind spots. And it's so good when you have somebody that genuinely loves you, because they can help you see your blind spots when you can't see them. He's helped me see blind spots. I've hopefully helped him see blind spots. And so it's been a blessing. So, yeah.
I think that getting married is like one of those mirrors. Except your spouse is that mirror that it says 10x. I don't know, you women who do makeup, the two sides of the mirror, and you're used to looking at the regular mirror. When you get married, it flips over and it's like the 10x.
Yes,
so,
it is.
Yeah.
But the thing is,
but that helps you fine tune.
It does, and it doesn't feel good when you're experiencing it or when you're going through it. But when I tell you, you grow so much if you're willing and if you want the growth.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing, and it's so rewarding, because it's a beautiful thing. So he said earlier, he was joking, and he was like, yeah, I swept you off your feet and He did. Like, he really did.
Yeah.
So.
I literally had a broom No,
Well, I
I'm
never
joking.
thought of the book Knight in Shining Armor.
Oh, that's true.
That's what made
That's
me
true.
think of.
That's true.
So,
You know, I was thinking of something when you mentioned love and has no record of wrong. And so I know a lot of women, they get in relationships and they break up and they get back together and break up. And I always have this rule, I don't date ex-girlfriends. We broke up for a reason. And the fallacy of being familiar makes you want to, for women, wants or gives them permission to get back with the guy because that's what they know and that's what they're familiar with. And would you say that love has an element of faith involved? Because in order to leave something that you're familiar with and go with something new, you have to step into something.
yeah. I think that love does have an element of faith. Definitely so, because you're jumping into something. But then I think when you jump into something to endure the good and the bad like in your vows, it creates the longevity. And then not only, it makes me think about, like when you said love has no record of wrongs, it made me think about in scripture where God says forgive 70 times 7. And so if you're in that forgiving mode and you really are living out the scripture the way that it's intended to be, and God has called you to something, then you can't just back out of it. You know what I mean? Until He's released you from that. In marriage, it looks different. In other relationships, it looks different. And it just depends on what it is, you know. And so to me, that's where the variations of love come into play, because I know it's like 5 different types of love, like agape love. You know, like there's certain type of things. So I think the variations play a part too. But in this purpose, honestly, it's just the scope of love, because we all have received love. We've been hurt by love. But hopefully in the hurt, you haven't let it paralyze you to the point to where you're hiding or sabotaging potential relationships in your future, you know. So when I think about love, I just really want you guys to think about, like, how well do you love yourself? And some people think self-care, you know, like, oh, did you go get pampered? Did you go to the spa? Did you get a massage? Did you get your nails done? Yes, those are surface things to me of you know, taking care of yourself physically. But my heart, mind, and soul really cares about your heart, mind, and soul. And so for me, I would like to take it a step further and say, like, how do you take care of your soul? How do you show yourself love? How do you make yourself available so that you can see yourself in a way that sheds light for others to see? What do you do? Like, how do you cleanse your soul? So, you know, is it prayer? Is it meditation? Is it just being mindful? Is it inner work? Have you ever done inner work? What does that look like? For me, because I am an introvert, I'm always in my head. And so it's hard to like pull myself outside of my thoughts. And that's why it's good too when you surround yourself with loving relationships, because you have people in your life, and I'm going to keep referencing my husband, who's able to help me pull things out that I would just keep letting spiral or circle in my head. Because my pretty simple day, the purpose and the vision is to reach, and what that stands for is raise expectations and change hearts. And so when you stay in your head, you don't allow yourself to be able to reach out to touch other people and change their heart and raise expectations. So yeah.
Just to echo what you said, I think it is important to love yourself first. And so that's why a lot of relationships, I'm sure you guys have probably experienced being in relationships where you felt like you were maybe giving more than the other partner. And it could be that the other partner didn't know how to love themselves. So it's almost like paying yourself first, like any of my business owners know, you pay yourself first, then you have something that you can be able to give out or ration out to others. So when you're with a spouse or with a partner who hasn't taken the time to love themselves properly, they don't have anything to give because they haven't deposited anything within. You can only give what you have. I can give you $1 million right now. I don't have $1 million cash, you know, so.
I think that's well said. I think when you properly, and then, you know, and I'm going to counter with this. Some people don't know how to love themselves. Some people have not been given the tools.
Which is why you exist.
To know how to love themselves. Right. And so in those instances, when somebody is able to show love to someone else and they can be patient with that person. They can be kind to that person. They're not boastful. They're not dishonest. They're not easily angered. That's how people can say, okay, oh, this is what love is. And this is how I am supposed to love myself so that I can show up for other people. But also, again, there's that boundary of, okay, have I deposited enough within myself to where that I can give love to somebody else and be okay if they hurt me. And so that is the yin yang of like, okay, like, oh, and knowing why they hurt me. Oh, they hurt me because they're hurt and they're wounded. And so can I cover them, or do I need to release it because this is not for me and I don't have that strength to be able to cover them in that way? So really, love, it entails all. Love is, like I said, it stands the test of time, and so I think that is a big thing when I think of love and what it means to me and practicing love, because I really do think love is a practice. I don't think it's just something that you practice showing love like to people, and you evolve and it changes over time in all your different relationships with others.
So do you feel that love has boundaries, or is love boundary?
Right, so that's what I was saying earlier. I think love has boundaries, and it makes me think about when they called Jesus and they said, Lazarus is dying, Lazarus sick, please go save him. And Jesus loved Lazarus, but he did not stop what he was doing right then and there. And he didn't just run and go save Lazarus. Actually, he finished handling his business first. He took his time because he had other priorities that he felt like he had to finish first. So love does have boundaries. And to me, that exemplifies him having boundaries. But in his having boundaries, he knew his worth and what he had to offer. And so when he went and Lazarus dead and they were upset with him because they were mad that he didn't come sooner, God showed him what he could do. So I do believe that there is a component of love that does have boundaries, and I think that's a misconcept that people don't have, and it's not openly shared within the church. And so it's just like love freely, and then you're depleted and you're depressed because you haven't set parameters or boundaries of what that love looks like. And nobody has equipped you for that. You're just pouring and pouring and pouring, and you're not refilling because you don't even know what that looks like. And that looks like taking time for yourself. That looks like saying, if I'm in this situation again, how can I improve? Not to say I will never do that again. I'm going to exit out because that's going to keep me from being hurt. But it's to say, what did I learn from that situation? So if I'm in a situation similar to it, I know how to respond differently and move differently so that I can get a better outcome. And so for me, love doesn't give up, and it keeps going. It's like I said, it stands the test of time. And so that, hopefully that answered your question about does love have boundaries? So
again, how can people find you? Like if they want to set up a one-on-one session?
Oh, okay, they could just go to prettysimpleday.com, and it'll be easy just to put in the information, and then I'll get back to you.